Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So, I recently had a conversation with my friend Ben, and he talked to me about, I'll do a little bit of a preface. He and I are similar in the way we post to our Snapchats, in that it's a lot of, when I'm waking up early and I'm feeling the fire, I'm going to post that, and I'm going to share that with people. We got into this conversation of realizing that is portraying a false image of who we really are. The goal with it, or at least what I've rationalized it to be, is that things like that are motivational because they show the tactic and strategy of how I'm trying to better myself. But he enlightened me after he came to the realization that it creates a false image of ourselves. I don't want you to think that the things I post are the only way that I live my life. They are the things that I think I'm doing well right now, and the things that I'm trying to do more of, not the 100% picture of me. Because it doesn't help you or anyone that watches any of my content to see that and think that I'm just perfect and that they can't live up to that. If anything, it hurts them, and it could lead to dire consequences. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of my imperfections and the ways that I fuck up or have fucked up, but mainly just like the things that show that I'm not perfect. This is tough for me. This is definitely a space of vulnerability, but I really hope that this helps you and whoever's watching to feel more confident in yourself and realize that it's not about being perfect all the time. First off, the injury that I suffered to my collarbone, my clavicle. No one knows this. This is the first time I'm sharing this with anyone. But I haven't been honest about how it actually happened in order to protect my ego. I've been telling people that, hold on, this is about to slip. Sorry if that messed it up, but just keep watching. I've been telling people that while I was on my way to yoga, my first full day of teacher training, I had my backpack on, I had my yoga mat, I couldn't get it over my head because I had my backpack on, so I just went one shoulder. And then I said while I was biking, one-handed, shifting my gears with my left hand, the yoga mat slipped down my shoulder, and that veered me left in front of the bike rack that I hit and then went over the bars. That's not exactly how it went. What actually happened was I was on my bike. I was hustling to get to yoga because I didn't want to be late. I had the mat on my left shoulder, and I knew that and I wanted to shift up gears on the left side from the first gear to the second gear. And I knew that if I used my left arm, my yoga mat was going to slip down. So while I was biking with just my right hand, I decided I was going to try to shift the gear on the left side of my handlebars with my right hand. When I did that, I went to compensate for pushing on the gear with my thumb. I didn't want to veer right. I pulled on the handlebar as I pushed, but I pulled too much, and that's what veered me left. And then I got back up, but by the time I had done that, I was right in front of the bike rack. Hold on again, this is slipping. I was right in front of the bike rack, and that's when I plowed into it, and that's when I hit my shoulder. So it wasn't because my yoga mat slipped down, it was because I made a wrong decision. I fucked up. And the way that I've really fucked up is that in order to protect my ego and show that it wasn't a stupid mistake by my own part, I told people that it was the yoga mat slipping down my shoulder that caused it, when in reality it was just my poor decision that did it. So I'm sure, at least I was saying it for me, like, it wouldn't have mattered either way I explained it. It's just that it was like, that's how I started saying it, and then from there it just snowballed, and I didn't want to have conflicting stories, and I let it keep going. That was a mistake on my part. I'm not perfect. So I'm sharing that now. But I fucked up. And I want you to know it's okay if you fuck up and things like that, and you want to cover it up. Another one. I talk a lot about diet and the healthy foods that I eat and how I try and really focus on eating healthy foods. And while that's true, it's definitely something that I try and do a lot. I'm not perfect about my diet either. The most common way, at least recently, that I have been going against the typical way I like to eat, which is more of a low sugar, anti-inflammatory type diet, is I will binge on, well, first of all, I'll just binge, so I'll talk on that. I have a problem stopping eating. I eat, and then I enjoy the food more than I care about the fact that I'm overeating, and so I just eat and eat and eat, and that's hard for me. It's something that's not sustainable, and sometimes I'm good about it, but other times I'm really bad about it, and it's a habit that I've been trying to kick, but right now it's one that I still have. At the same time, I really like dark chocolate sunflower butter cups. They're so fucking good. I get them at Sprouts, or they have them on campus, and sometimes I'll just hang out in my room, throw on some Joe Rogan podcast YouTube videos, and just crush those. And it's not healthy. I always end up with a distended belly, feeling shitty when I go to bed and feeling shitty when I wake up. But it's something I do. It's not something I do all the time, but it's definitely something that I do fairly frequently. So I'm not perfect with my diet either. I don't want you to think that I am. I simply put out those health food videos and talking about anti-inflammatory eating. I put that out so that you know that that's kind of how I do it, and that's a strategy or multiple tactics to live that life, but I'm not perfect about it. One of my dear friend's fathers passed away recently, and on the day that I found out, which was the day that everyone found out, it had happened either that morning or the night previously, I spent time reflecting on his presence and really embodying him. And later that evening, we all went to go hang out, but I was feeling Rick, and then from there went to who should I be here. But I didn't consider the way that I was affecting my friend. So I felt really bad about it. My friends ended up not talking to me for the rest of the week because they felt like I was just bulldozing over his emotions. And looking back on it retrospectively, that's what it would have come off as. They are completely just and even correct in perceiving it that way, although that wasn't my intention. My intention was to act how his father wanted me to act. So I fucked up there. I didn't consider the way I was going to impact those that were there, that were mourning. I mean, I can't imagine the feeling of, I have imagined, and I've spent time being with that feeling of what would it be like to lose my dad. It breaks my heart, and I feel really bad that that's the way it came off. So I wanted to share that, because I'm not perfect, and that's another area where I've made mistakes. There are plenty more, but I think that this sort of gives enough examples to show that I'm not perfect, and I present myself to you as an entire person, not as a false image. I hope that this video serves well, and I hope that people are able to go back to this video whenever they see my other content, because I do think that the content of what I'm doing well and the ideas of what I'm trying to do well is really helpful, but I want you to know that that's not the whole me, and that that's what I'm trying to do more of, not what I do completely. So how am I moving forward with my imperfections, and how I embody my imperfections, is through love and acceptance of myself. I realize that I am this whole person. I am just as much my mistakes as I am the things that I do well. And I honor that. And I cherish those mistakes as learning opportunities as they come, but bulldozing over them and just hating myself for not being perfect, which is a path that I have gone down, is not sustainable. And it hurts, and it can cause really troubling issues, like maybe you post so many things of how well you're doing that someone who's not doing so well watches them and gets really down on themselves to the point where life's just not worth living. That's really not my intention, and I want you to know the whole me, not just the ideal me. So no more false image. This is me. Thanks for watching. Peace.